Gonna look like Bria Hartley just got instant karma, bro. She out for the season. I'm here to tell you the most dirtiest player in the WNBA contract has been written, bro. And I'm here to tell you she's out for the season. Yes, you heard me correctly. Yeah, man, Bria Hartley. So Connecticut PR has released a statement. Bria Hartley is to miss the remainder of the season.
Was Bria Hartley involved in the most controversial moment of the WNBA season? And did she just pay the price for it? The drama began when Sophie Cunningham went down hard with a torn MCL after a collision that many viewers say didn't look accidental at all. The situation became even more heated when slow-motion replays appeared to catch Hartley smirking as Sophie lay on the court, sparking accusations of intent and flooding social media with angry reactions. Then, in a twist straight out of a movie, Hartley herself has now been ruled out for the remainder of the season. The timing feels almost too perfect, leaving fans debating whether this was pure coincidence or a dose of instant basketball karma. If you're pulling for Sophie, send her some love in the comments and wish her a quick, full recovery.
This picture is going viral with Bria Hartley with the sinister grin, right? This malevolent look that's on her face right now. Clearly smiling after injuring Sophie Cunningham, man.
From the very first moment, the play looked anything but clean. Sophie Cunningham absorbed the full impact, crashed hard to the floor, and instantly grabbed her knee in agony. There was no attempt to shake it off, no effort to stand. Just raw pain that silenced the entire arena. Trainers sprinted onto the court while her teammates circled around her, their faces showing just how serious it was. What followed wasn't the usual walk-it-off scene you see after a tough fall. Instead, Sophie was helped straight to the locker room, leaving the crowd stunned and worried. Her expression said it all. This wasn't just a stinger. This was the kind of pain that told everyone watching that something serious had just happened.
This is the play that just occurred.
That's like she tries to slide over right there, and Hartley just kind of falls and makes collision with that lower leg. You see her immediately grab it. And she went down hard and was clearly in a lot of pain.
But what truly set the internet on fire wasn't just Sophie's injury. It was the image that surfaced immediately after. While Sophie was still lying on the floor in visible pain, cameras caught Bria Hartley with what looked like a smirk. Call it a grin, call it a laugh, spin it however you want. Fans saw something very different. To them, it was a player seemingly enjoying the sight of an opponent down and hurt. That single frame went viral within minutes, igniting outrage across social media. Suddenly, the conversation shifted. This was no longer just about a hard foul or an unlucky collision. It became a debate over intent, respect, and what really happened in that moment.
Oh, and Cunningham is down. My goodness. Should be. You know, scary moment as we went to commercial. Sophie Cunningham hit the floor hard, and she is being helped off the floor, heading back to the locker room.
The reaction online was blunt and unforgiving. That's not how you act if it was truly an accident. Fans claimed the smirk said more than any statement or apology ever could. Once that image started spreading, Hartley's intentions no longer mattered. The narrative was already set. Even when Sophie herself tried to defuse the situation, insisting it was just an unfortunate play and she happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, the backlash barely slowed. Supporters weren't convinced because the picture told a different story. People can accept basketball being rough and physical, but what they can't stomach is the idea of a player looking satisfied while another lies hurt on the floor.
Sophie Cunningham, let's be clear here. Sophie Cunningham was targeted. Let's be very, very clear here. But Sophie Cunningham was flat out targeted by a dirty play.
And this wasn't the first time Bria Hartley found herself under this kind of microscope, and that history made the outrage hit even harder. The smirk stung because fans and analysts had already taken note of Hartley's previous flare-ups and physical confrontations. So rather than being dismissed as a bad look in the heat of the moment, the image became the centerpiece in what many saw as a growing pattern of reckless behavior. Within hours, commentators were calling it the dirtiest play of the year. Headlines leaned into the outrage, and fans filled social media demanding that someone be held accountable. The criticism didn't stop with Hartley either. The referees came under fire for letting the moment slide and failing to step in when player safety was clearly at risk. To many, it felt like yet another example of a league that fines players for speaking out faster than it hands out real consequences for dangerous contact. The anger wasn't just about one play. It was about a system that seemed to let it happen.
Making all kind of excuses to say that Bria Hartley is not a dirty player. Let me tell y'all something, man. Come on in here. Come on in here, man. Let me tell y'all something. If it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, eats like a duck, it's a duck, man. Come on, man. She is the dirtiest player in the WNBA right now, winning the trophy. All right? Winning the trophy for it. Don't sit here and try to tell me Bria Hartley is not a dirty player.
By the time the week was over, the debate had grown far beyond a single game. It had turned into a conversation about credibility, about whether the WNBA would finally step in and make an example of this moment, or simply let it slide as they had before. Either way, Hartley's smirk had already cemented her reputation for a lot of fans. That one snapshot became proof of what they already suspected about her style of play, and that's what made it so unsettling. This wasn't unfamiliar ground for Hartley. The question quickly shifted. Was Sophie Cunningham just the latest in a list of players frustrated by Hartley's physical, borderline reckless approach? Because while some wanted to dismiss it as a single bad play, the season's history tells a different story. The receipts are there, and they don't make Hartley look like a victim of bad luck. They make her look like a player who keeps showing up in the league's ugliest moments.
Atkins, 7 to shoot. Cardoso rolls, catch. Cardoso over the top, can't get it. Reese fights for the rebound and a foul, and this time gets a little chippy and a shove on Nelson Ododa. And listen, this arena, typically we'll see some ringside fights.
Take the dust up with Angel Reese earlier in the year. That wasn't just standard post-play physicality. Fans were quick to call out Hartley for grabbing Reese's hair during a rebound battle, something you can't mistake for an innocent swipe. Reese's immediate reaction said everything about how obvious it was, and that clip spread like wildfire online. By the time the internet added that moment to Hartley's growing reputation file, she was already involved in another clash. Next came Rebecca Allen, who ended up on the receiving end of a shove that once again had fans pointing fingers. None of these incidents led to major suspensions or fines, but when you line them all up, it's not hard to see why fans believe Sophie Cunningham won't be the last player caught up in a Hartley controversy. Instead of isolated accidents, these moments started to look like a pattern, one that the league can't keep ignoring.
So Mike put this up about an hour ago. He said to all of those defending Bria Hartley, look at what she liked on Instagram. Emo, she's the dirtiest player in the league and should be kicked out. Most recently, Sophie Cunningham has been hurt with the knee tear and is out for the season. Look at this. Look at this. Now, Bria is the definition of consistency. Now, this is her liking this. This is her liking this post. Y'all see that? Breezy, 1-4, and others. Bria is the definition. She's liking this post. Look at this. Death taxes and Bria Hartley always being at the scene of the crime. Now that's her choke slamming Angel Reese.
And this is where everything finally boiled over. To fans, these weren't random, isolated accidents anymore. They were chapters in a bigger story. Patterns change perception, and by the time Sophie was on the floor holding her knee, Hartley's track record was already sitting in everyone's mind. That history made it nearly impossible for anyone to write off the smirk as just an unfortunate snapshot taken at the wrong time. People remembered the hair pull with Angel Reese, the shove on Rebecca Allen, and now a collision that sidelined one of Indiana's toughest players. To many, this wasn't coincidence. It was the latest entry in a season-long pattern that fans were no longer willing to ignore.
Indiana Fever fans wake up pissed off today. Pissed off. Not only are we getting assaulted, but they're smiling about it. This is the 6th time they've smiled, laughed, and cheered on our Indiana Fever players getting assaulted, getting injured. and it pisses me off.
The outrage only grew louder because it felt like the officials were completely ignoring what was happening. Fans tore into referees for letting obvious hard contact slide in one game, then turning around and calling soft, ticky-tack fouls the next. There was no sense of consistency, and that lack of a standard made it easy for people to believe the refs were enabling the physical play, especially when it came to teams like Connecticut, while players like Sophie were the ones paying the price. What made it worse was the history behind it all. Earlier this season, Sophie was fined for publicly criticizing officiating, yet Hartley had faced zero punishment despite being involved in multiple controversial incidents. To many fans, that double standard was glaring. Even Sophie's own family couldn't stay silent anymore. Her sister Lindsay and her mother Paula publicly called out the league, demanding to know why players weren't being protected from dangerous situations like this. At that point, it wasn't just angry fans on social media. It was the people closest to Sophie calling out the WNBA's inaction. Their frustration echoed exactly what Fever supporters were already feeling. If the league refused to step in and enforce real accountability, injuries like this would keep happening.
Maybe you should focus her sister. Maybe you should focus less on fining players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are capable to call a consistent game and protect your athletes. Pathetic. Praying for you. The only good thing positive surrounding Sophie Cunningham coming out of this game, she looked in good spirits in the locker room.
That's why calls for a suspension erupted almost instantly across social media. Fans were quick to point out past cases where similar reckless plays had led to fines or suspensions, and they demanded that Hartley face the exact same consequences. By then, the verdict in the court of public opinion was already clear. Hartley was labeled a dirty player, the league was seen as turning a blind eye, and Sophie was viewed as the one paying the price. But just as everyone was waiting for the WNBA to issue a ruling, the story took a dramatic and unexpected twist that no one could have predicted.
Bria Hartley deserves zero benefit of the doubt. And Sophie Cunningham's family not too happy. I believe this is Mama C. Hartley is a disgruntled player having trouble everywhere she goes. She's playing mean and plays out of control. Looked out of control to me.
Fans were bracing for the league to hand down some kind of punishment. Suspension debates dominated social media, and the outrage was so loud that many assumed the WNBA would have no choice but to respond. Then, out of nowhere, came the twist that flipped the entire conversation. The Connecticut Sun announced that Bria Hartley would miss the rest of the season, not because of a suspension, but due to a right knee meniscus tear that shut her down immediately. The timing was almost eerie, arriving just as fans were demanding justice. What was supposed to be a debate about league discipline suddenly turned into a story about fate, irony, and what some were calling instant basketball karma.
It stated Connecticut Sun guard Bria Hartley will miss the remainder of the season due to a meniscus tear in her right knee. Injury sustained during team practice. You got hurt at practice? Hartley is expected to make a full recovery. So you mean to tell me her own team hurt her? Oh my God. Her own team hurt her? Oh man. Oh dog, this is funny as hell. I should laugh, but damn dog, how your own team hurt you, bro. Hartley is expected to make a full recovery. Additional updates will be provided.
The parallels were impossible to ignore, and fans immediately started drawing connections. Sophie Cunningham had just been ruled out with a torn MCL, a crushing blow for a Fever team already battling adversity all season. And now, the very player linked to the collision that took Sophie out was suddenly sidelined with her own season-ending knee injury. Both players were facing long, difficult recoveries, but to many fans, the difference was clear. Sophie got hurt taking the hit. Hartley went down after being the one delivering it. For those watching, it felt less like coincidence and more like poetic justice, a form of payback that arrived quicker than anyone could have imagined.
That I was like, Bria and I are super cool, and she would never try to hurt me, because there are some girls that I think might, but she wouldn't do that. And so I have nothing but.
Well, Sophie, I got news for you. The universe thought otherwise. The universe thought otherwise. They got her ass up out of here, bro. Damn. which they wasn't going to the playoffs anyways, but man, karma's a ish. I just got to keep it real, bro. I mean, this is everywhere.
It didn't take long for the instant karma narrative to completely take over social media. Fever fans who had been furious and demanding action just days earlier shifted from outrage to a sense of vindication. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't about punishment anymore. It was about balance being restored. Posts celebrating the eerie symmetry flooded timelines, with people calling Hartley's season-ending injury the justice the league refused to deliver. Whether they called it payback, irony, or poetic fairness, the takeaway was the same. Fans believed this was the basketball gods stepping in to settle the score in a way no referee or league office ever could.
So it said, wonder if she's grinning now. Oh, instant karma on their ass. Prayers do come true. Some of the same people complaining about injury. Somebody said, man, the storyline of this league is incredible. Man, I did an incredible video talking about the injuries, dog. Somebody said, oh, that's terrible news. That's a voodoo doll. No more head hunting for her.
That twist of irony cut even deeper for Connecticut. Losing Hartley meant losing a crucial piece of their rotation at the exact point in the season when every game matters most. For a team that prides itself on physicality and toughness, her absence wasn't just another injury report. It was a real blow to their playoff push. The same edge and aggression that had helped define Hartley's style of play and fueled her reputation around the league suddenly became the thing Connecticut would have to survive without. It turned what had been a narrative about controversy into a question about how the Sun could regroup and keep their season on track without one of their most intense competitors.
Somebody said this was her karma. She went into every game this year and either tried to bully someone because she knew her team had her back, or she did a dirty play on someone she knew her team had her back. She never stood up for herself and then injured someone for the whole season. And guess what? Her team ended up injuring her. Her team ended up injuring her, bruh.
Meanwhile, Sophie continued to display the kind of grace that made her one of the easiest players in the league to root for. Even after suffering a season-ending injury, she refused to take shots at Hartley, telling fans she held no grudge and still considered her a friend. That humility and compassion only strengthened Sophie's image. While fans raged online and demanded justice, Sophie stayed calm and measured, carrying herself with quiet dignity. The contrast between her poise and the controversy surrounding Hartley made the narrative even clearer. One player was painted as the villain, the other as the model of professionalism. And then came the twist no suspension could ever match. Fate took Hartley out of the picture entirely. Without the league handing down a single penalty, she was sidelined, unavailable, and no longer a factor. That shifted the focus back to Sophie Cunningham. Her recovery, her resilience, and the way she handled adversity became the true story fans wanted to follow.
Now look, you can tell Bria Hartley, in my opinion, she launched herself into her knee. She did. And I've seen some of the reaction online, and guys, it's despicable. It really is. There's a lot of people celebrating this injury. And guess what? You can imagine who it is. It's members of the old WNBA fandom, the ones that root for Paige Beckers and Angel Reese and Asia Wilson and all the usual damn suspects.
Sophie Cunningham didn't stay silent for long. Just days after her injury, she made it clear she wasn't going to fade quietly into the background. Her first statement came in the form of a single, bold tweet. F around and find out. Those 4 words were all it took to set the tone. Even while sidelined and fresh off surgery prep, Sophie was letting everyone know she wasn't backing down. Not from critics, not from trolls, and not from anyone coming after her or her family. It was sharp, unapologetic, and impossible to misread. Sophie wasn't just recovering. She was still very much in the fight.
Well, you come at Sophie's sister, you come at Sophie. And Sophie saw this comment, and bless her heart, she answered it. She answered it. Some of us were raised by the words of, quote, don't bite off more than you can chew. And some of us didn't. Quote, F around and find out. F around and find out. Kiss. God bless this woman. Yeah, seriously. She's great.
What made that tweet even more powerful was how sharply it contrasted with the way Sophie handled the situation on her podcast. There, she was calm and measured, going out of her way to call Hartley's collision a basketball play and insisting she didn't believe there was malicious intent. That version of Sophie was all about grace, perspective, and refusing to escalate the drama. Her tweet, on the other hand, carried a completely different energy, fiery, defiant, and unwilling to let anyone take shots at her without a response. Together, the two moments painted a complete picture of Sophie Cunningham, a competitor with the maturity to forgive but the fire to stand her ground. She may not hold grudges, but she won't let herself be disrespected either, on or off the court.
I know Bria, and I'm actually really good friends with Bria, and I had been waiting to get on the pod and so we could talk about this because I did want to tweet it out, but I don't think that there was no ill intent. I think it was basketball play. I was just in the wrong spot at the wrong time. She fell. Like, there's no way that she would go in there and potentially try to hurt me. And so I had nothing but love for Bria, and I even like told my mom because she tweeted something. I was like, no, Mom, like, I get it, but like I promise you that, like, I was like, Bria and I are super cool, and like she would never try to hurt me because there are some girls that I think might, but she wouldn't do that. And so I have nothing but love, and so I hope people stop giving Bria some heat because I don't think she meant to do that at all.
On her podcast, Sophie was open and honest about what lay ahead. She confirmed she would undergo surgery and officially miss the remainder of the season. There was no attempt to sugarcoat the challenge of the recovery process. She acknowledged it would be difficult, but she also spoke with quiet confidence about what comes next. Gratitude became a recurring theme, as she thanked the Fever organization, her teammates, and fans for their constant support. It gave listeners a glimpse into her mindset. Yes, she was frustrated, but she was determined to frame the moment with positivity and resilience. Her family, however, didn't hold back nearly as much. This was where the Cunningham fighting spirit came shining through. Her sister Lindsay openly called out the WNBA, slamming the league for fining Sophie when she criticized officiating but failing to punish players for reckless hits that actually injure people. Her mother Paula went even further, calling Hartley a disgruntled player who caused problems wherever she went and labeling her behavior as mean-spirited and out of control. For Fever fans already furious with officiating and the Suns' physical style of play, those words only poured gasoline on the fire, intensifying the anger that was already boiling over.
I'm officially 3 for 3 on being fined by the WNBA.
Holy shit. For this? For the pod? Again?
They didn't like my comments on Paige Becker's.
No way.
I didn't even say anything bad.
On the whistle, on the quick whistle.
Yeah, but like, why?
Through all of this chaos, the Fever kept pushing forward like a team refusing to break. Injuries piled up, hardship contracts were signed just to keep a full roster, and depth became a nightly challenge. But quitting was never an option. Their resilience showed up in big ways, most notably in Kelsey Mitchell's 38-point masterpiece against the Sun, a performance so dominant it earned her Eastern Conference Player of the Week honors. Lexi Hull also stepped up, embracing a leadership role and proving she could keep the locker room steady even through turmoil. And while Sophie was no longer on the court, the toughness she represented seemed to spread across the entire roster like fuel. Then there's Caitlin Clark. The team is still cautious with her return, sticking to day-by-day updates, but everyone knows what her presence could mean once she's back. Sophie's injury hasn't broken this Fever squad. If anything, it has exposed a deeper layer of fight and unity that could turn them into something far more dangerous than anyone anticipated when the playoffs come calling.
I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of you too. Proud of you. I'm so proud of you guys. I know that sometimes it sounds like just a word when we talk about being resilient, but it's not, man. It's how we live. Yep. It's how y'all live, and it's a tribute to you It's a tribute to your connectedness, your togetherness, your toughness, your mindset. You never give up gritty attitudes. Like, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. And
Bria Hartley's season-ending injury may have dominated the headlines, but that's not the story that will stick. The real focus is on Sophie Cunningham, her toughness, her honesty, and her refusal to let the noise define her. Even while sidelined, she turned a painful, frustrating moment into motivation, becoming the emotional heartbeat of this Fever team. And look at Indiana's response. Kelsey Mitchell continues to light up the scoreboard with massive scoring nights. Lexi Hull has stepped into a steady leadership role, and Aaliyah Boston keeps battling in the paint, setting the tone physically every night. Once Caitlin Clark returns to the floor, this team suddenly becomes one of the most dangerous in the playoff race. The league may have failed to protect Sophie, but the Fever don't need saving. They're already writing their own comeback story, and it's only getting better. This is no longer just about surviving a tough stretch. It's about proving they can turn adversity into momentum. If you support Sophie, drop a comment below wishing her a speedy recovery, and let's show her the love she deserves. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss an update on the Fever's run. Share this video with another fan who needs to see it, and click the video on your screen to keep the conversation going. We'll see you in the next one. The story is just getting started.